First of all, I tried to tell them all that I was getting money. They said not at all. You stupid broke and your life's a joke cause your pocket's small. You still live with your mom, you just a bum. And you'll never be nothing and your record sucks, so don't press your luck. I done told you like a million times, you need to get this up. If you want it, I'll keep it 100 with you. I will. My treasure in heaven is so official.
What's up, Long Beach? The black and brown are getting down in this Lowrider town. Yeah. Any of my white brothers here? I like playing spades with them. You can read nig at any time and they ain't saying nothing. I told my girl I wanted to go out this weekend with some 13s to the concrete. So she got me these shoes. We don't always speak the same language. She asked me to take her on a cruise. I was excited. I was like, okay, be ready at 6 o'clock on Friday. We're going to Subway. Wasn't hitting that back bumper that night. Some homies are serious about hopping. They got that OCD. You know, obsessive Chevy disorder. They're like, I hear the voices in my head telling me to buy lowrider parts. I was at the movies and I saw the homies and switches on the bathroom urinal. Sitting there flicking that switch, just kept hitting it. Zoot, zoot. Then he was like, let me do yours. And I'm like, man, hit your own switch. I didn't know if he was coming out the closet, but I was getting out the bathroom. You know what a janitor says when he comes out the closet, right? Supplies. Okay, yeah, that's a dad joke. Couldn't resist. Wasn't funny. What isn't funny is that club shirt, no car. He was like, I have a dream, that one day my car will be out of paint gel. He just need 2 more cans of spray paint. And maybe an extra job. He can flip burgers for one of the clowns. I heard they had a job at the zoo, circumcising elephants. The money's not good, but the tips are big. Your car club is like old Christmas lights. Some don't work and some just aren't too bright. We didn't get into that Santa Claus thing too much back at home. My grandfather used to tell us, ain't no white man coming down your chimney. I got a crazy family. Anybody else or just me? My Uncle Tuffy used to just go out with a white buddy of his. He would have him carry the beef jerky in his backpack in case they ran into bears. I think you're saying only after outrun you. And Mr. Glenn wasn't too bright. One day he got stuck in the escalator for 2 hours. But he would go out with my uncle to get away from his wife. Mr. Glenn told us he hasn't talked to his wife in 3 months. And he said that's because he didn't want to interrupt her. Mr. Glenn and my uncle used to go out and hunt ducks. And one day, my uncle caught 3 ducks, and the game warden stopped him. And he comes up to him, and he notices my uncle's got 3 ducks, and he says, let me see one of those ducks. So the game warden takes the duck and looks around and inspects him and checks his feathers, checks his beak. Then he sticks his finger up the duck's butt and he smells it. He says, this duck is from Nebraska. You got a Nebraska hunting license, boy? And my uncle's like, yeah, I got one of those. And then the game warden takes the next duck, takes him by his neck, looks at his feathers, looks at his beak, inspects him real good, sticks the finger up the duck's butt and smells it. He says, this duck is from Iowa. You got an Iowa hunting license, boy? He said, yeah, I got one of those. Monkey had him his license. Inspector checks it out. And then he takes the last duck. He checks out the duck real good. Checks the feathers, checks the beak. Looking good. Sticks his finger up his butt and he smells it. And again, Warden says, this duck is from Kentucky. Do you got a Kentucky hunting license, boy? And my uncle's like, yeah, I got one of those too. And the game warden's looking at all these licenses from a different state. He says, hey, son, that's pretty good. Where are you from? So my uncle sticks his finger up his own butt and puts it under the nose of the game warden and says, you're the expert, you tell me. So finally, Mr. Glenn finally caught him a duck. But it fell over the yard into this farmer's house. And he notices the farmer riding around in an old tractor. And the farmer says, that's my duck. He fell on my property. And Mr. Glenn says, no, I shot him. That's mine. And if you don't give me that duck, I'll sue you for everything you have. So the farmer says, well, we don't do that around these parts. We do the 3-kick rule. So Mr. Glenn is like, what's that? The farmer said, well, each person gets 3 kicks, and whoever is left standing, they get to win the case. So Mr. Glenn is like, okay, we can do that. So the old farmer said, well, since it fell on my property, I go first. So Mr. Glenn agreed to the contest. So the farmer gets off his tractor and walks over to Mr. Glenn. And with his steel-toed shoes, he took the first kick right in the kahunas. Mr. Glenn was sitting there slumped over. The second kick, he kicked him in the stomach. And he bent over a little bit more. And then the farmer's third kick, he kicked him in the butt and he fell flat on the ground. And Mr. Glenn was like, okay, old-timer, now it's my turn. And he slowly tried to get up. And the farmer said, oh, that's okay. You can keep the duck. My Uncle Roy had a 6'6" Impala. He used to drop the top and show off his summer teeth. You know, some over here and some over there. Had to watch out for those gaps so he didn't get sprayed. Sometimes the chances of rain were greater inside the house. That's where we learned how to bob and weave. He didn't bother to learn me and my brother's name. He just called us Neff. And he was mean. He'd be like, yo, Neff, what'd he tell a woman with 2 black eyes? I said, what, Unc? He said, nothing. He already told her twice. But my aunt could always calm him down. She'd be like, you better leave those boys alone or you won't get no round brown tonight. His voice would change. Round brown, round brown. We were just kids, so we thought she was going to make hamburgers. He was driving a 66 one day and hit a squirrel that was on the road looking for some food and almost killed it. Ma got him to stop and talk to him into taking it to the vet. If you want some of this round brown, you better get that squirrel. Apparently, there was more than one squirrel looking for a nut. So he said, I don't want him to mess up the car. Put him on a paper towel and put him between your legs. She was like, well, what about the smell? He said, just close your legs. He'll be all right. She talked him into getting pets for the house, so he got a little pussycat for the boys to play with and bought a talking parrot from St. Anthony's Church. I don't know if he actually bought it because the priest was walking around with 2 black eyes. Yep, uncle was mean. A few days after that, we picked up my little cousin to go to school and he was crying. I'm like, "What's wrong, Junior?" He said, "When I went to say goodbye to Mama, I heard Roy say, 'After your boy goes to school, I'm going to tear that up.'" We were just kids then, didn't understand. I was like, "Cuz, that was your cat. Your mama should have stopped him." My cousin said, "No, last night Roy asked, 'Whose kitty is it?' And my mama said, 'This is your kitty, baby.'" I was getting ticked off from my cousin. I'm like, "Okay, I know just what to do. It's time to put some X-Lax in his Kool-Aid." When we got to my cousin's house, Uncle Roy's parrot was acting real strange. His name was Moses. We're in the living room and he was quoting scriptures. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever should believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life." And he'd look at my brother and say, "Now you're a pretty boy." My brother would get mad. "You'd make a good altar boy." And my brother was like, "Shut up, Moses." My brother got so mad at the bird that he put him in the freezer. In the meantime, I was hooking up the Kool-Aid. About 10 minutes later, we heard Roy's 66 pulling up. So my brother gets the bird out the fridge, and Moses was freaking out. He was like, I'll be good. Just tell me one thing." My brother said, "What?" "What did that chicken do?" My Uncle Roy came in. "Yo, Neff, my parrot is pretty cool, ain't it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's frosty." Uncle Roy told us he was going upstairs to shake the mattress with my auntie. So I asked my cousin how long it would take. He said, "Well, it's noisy for about 3 minutes, and then it's quiet for about an hour." I'm like, "Cool." My brother doesn't want my uncle to find out about the bird yet, so when Roy went upstairs, he grabs the bird, puts it in a Ziploc bag, and takes it to my grandma's house next door. And I'm thinking, well, she can't see that good anymore, but she'll like him because she likes the Bible and she can't read books. So we go back to my cousin's house and Roy's taking his nap, and we're watching Fat Albert. It's always talking about what you did last week. Hey, don't take stuff that's not yours. Yeah, but Albert, and don't put the X-Blacks into the Kool-Aid. We go back to Granny's afterwards to get the bird, thinking he should have warmed up by now. We get in the house and she's like, "Hey y'all, thanks for the quarter shin. That was delicious." We're like, "Oh, Grandma, that was Moses. He could recite the whole Bible. Why did you eat him?" And she's like, "Well, he should have said something." We just knew Roy was going to have a fit, and there was only one way out of it. That was to get my aunt to make some hamburgers that night. Yep, brown would always work. But when we got into Junior's house, it was like when you do a 3-wheel in front of a cop you didn't see. Doogie. I'm like, "Lord, if you get me out of this, I won't taint the Kool-Aid again." Doogie. "Lord, please help my auntie to make some burgers." Doogie. Uncle Roy sees us and says, "You see my parrot?" My brother's like, "The parrot flew away and we're trying to find him." He picked us up in the 6 and told us about his day and how he got in a scuffle because he heard the priest was bothering my nephew. And he took the cat over to his friend's house because he was trying to eat the parrot. He wasn't as bad as we thought. He even took it well when we told him about Grandma eating a parrot. I felt bad. I told him, yo, Unc, whatever you do tonight, don't drink the Kool-Aid. I had to fess up about the Kool-Aid in the fridge, so we rushed back to my Aunt Sandra's house. And my grandma was there. She looked up at us and said, that Kool-Aid sure was delicious. And then she took off to the back room. Not too long ago, I went by Uncle Roy and Sandra's house. And he was like, hey, honey, I forgot my ID when I went to the Social Security office. To show him how old I was, I just opened up my shirt and showed him my gray hairs. And she yelled back downstairs, you should have pulled out your pants. They would have given you disability. Then she said, why don't you come upstairs and get some of this round brown? And he's like, well, make up your mind. I can't do both. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have been great.
I tried to tell him, man.